I'm Matt Schlicht, CEO of Octane AI. Welcome to another Masterclass AMA, all about e-commerce messenger and real-time messaging automation for e-commerce. We talk to the smartest minds in the e-commerce space, and we get their thoughts. And today we have Andrew Youderian, the founder of EcommerceFuel. EcommerceFuel, which you probably already know this, is the largest vetted community for seven-figure store owners, and they have over 1,000 people in there. If you're in there, you're probably already killing it with your e-commerce business, and if you're not in there, it's definitely something to aspire to. Today, we're going to talk to Andrew about how he started EcommerceFuel and how he got to where he is today. How did he build this great community? We're going to talk to Andrew about what are the next trends that he's seen in e-commerce. What are things that you as an e-commerce store owner or maybe an e-commerce agency should be paying attention to? We're going to get his thoughts on real-time messaging automation for Facebook Messenger and other platforms and see what he thinks about that. And then we're going to see where this takes us. So Andrew, welcome to the e-commerce messenger masterclass. Thank you so much. I know you're super busy. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us all.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. It'll be fun.
Cool. So I think like the first question is for everybody who doesn't know what EcommerceFuel is, what's like the brief overview of it?
Yeah, in a nutshell, EcommerceFuel is you kind of just hit the nail on the head. It's a community for seven-figure plus store owners. So my background was kind of running and growing independent e-commerce stores, and there weren't many people that were talking about that or were in communities for that. And so wanted to get people together. And it's there's three things we do, three ways we try to add value. First, through a vetted online form of members, so everyone in there has a meaningful experience and a fairly active discussion board. Second is through live events. We just wrapped up with our annual live summit in New Orleans this last month. And then the third is through a directory that we have for software and service providers, where members can review what tools they're using, what contractors are using, so other members can get unbiased thoughts on how to build out their tech stack and build out their outsourced team. So that's what we do.
That's awesome. And then so like what's like a typical discussion on there? Like if we went on there right now, like what are people talking about?
Oh man, it's all over the board. I mean, I'll tell you right now. Let's look at the top headlines, just at a high level. Being sensitive to kind of confidentiality things, but Amazon brand analytics reporting, how to best use that. There's an Octane AI thread in here. I think there's a whole meme on you, Matt, going on. Kidding about that.
Hopefully it's good.
Someone's Amazon privileges were just removed. We've got a mastermind for high level marketing staff, so like directors of marketing, a mastermind getting kicked off for them. We've got a thread about people's favorite 90s songs, how to pick ERP systems. It's all over the board, anything you can imagine.
So this is basically the best place on the internet for anyone that's growing a really fast growing e-commerce brand.
I'm a little biased, admittedly, but yeah, like if seven figures, that low 8-figure range, it's one of the few places I think where you can meaningfully connect with people who actually know what you're going through and can hopefully help out. So.
Yeah, and I think that's like the thing that strikes me with EcommerceFuel is like e-commerce is such a global business, right? It's everywhere, and people aren't necessarily always in a physical location where they're nearby other people who are going through the same things as them. And so to give them a community like this where they can complain about stuff, or taxes are coming up, or they run into new problems that only people making millions of dollars a year or more are going to understand, I think it's like an amazing community. And I'm sure everybody who's a part of it is just like, it's like their number one spot that they check every day. How did you start it? Because like, I don't know how many people watching this have actually created a community, but it's like a very delicate thing to do. Like you can't just add 1,000 people and suddenly everyone's going to be sharing their top 90s songs. Like I feel like if you have a thread in your community where it's talking about your favorite 90s songs, like you've probably that's like the final stage of community. Like how did you do that?
We really just found a lot of people who are really into 90s music and then help them build e-commerce businesses. That is the easiest way to do it.
So the fact that I like 90s music is probably a good omen that I will be able to make a 7-figure e-commerce business.
Oh, it's like the number one predictor of success in e-commerce is Obviously. If you like 80s, 90s, or some kind. Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously.
But no, I mean, in a nutshell, I built a community. My background, like I mentioned, was building e-commerce stores, and so I had built a couple small businesses, and low seven figures. They weren't enormous, but um, got a sense of it first, just kind of understanding what the needs were, what it was like. I think it's really hard to build a community unless you're part of that community. So that was great. And from there, I started writing about e-commerce in 2012 from a much more of a perspective of that seven figure, high six and seven figure range. And people weren't writing about that very much. There are very few people talking about it from that kind of that standpoint, and just got to know a bunch of people over the course of the year. For a year, just blogged with no other agenda than to just meet people and connect with people. And along the way, met 100, 150 people that I thought were really interesting, compelling people in the space. And so opened up a forum, and over the course of 3-4 months, slowly dripped those people into the community, introduced them to each other, started discussions, tagged people, and tried to build a funnel of other people who could also be added, and that my content helped from that. And then just kind of gradually built that up over time. And it took probably 2 years plus before, maybe a year to 18 months actually, before it was self-sustaining. And really the whole ramp up period was about 2.5 years. But that's kind of the real rough process of how I got started. So
Did you ever think that it was going to work?
I hope so. You never know. Like doing anything, you have no idea. I mean, you hope and you try to make bets based on things that you hope are going to have a 70, 60, 70% chance of shot with all your effort versus a 20 or a 30. But I didn't know. I was hopeful. And fortunately, I did. So
Okay, so you built some, as you put it, some low, not huge, seven-figure stores together, and then you created this community. There's 1,000 people in it. You have to have a seven-figure business to be in there. Is that correct?
I would say our average member has a business in the low seven figures, and our membership requirements now are seven figures. We'll make exceptions for if someone comes in with a really strong brand, for example. Uh, let's say they're doing $500,000, but they have a really great brand, or maybe they're
Yep.
doing $600,000, but they have 10 years of e-commerce experience. We'll make some exceptions for sure. But roughly, that's our average member has a seven-figure business.
Okay, so you have 1,000 people in there that are doing very well, or at least are like they're on their way to doing super well, and you've kind of curated this community, and then you talk to all these people and you see all the things they're posting, and so arguably out of anybody in the world, you're in like the top percentage of like a bird's eye view of what is working and what's not working in the world of e-commerce. I think that puts you in like you just have I feel like we're not even going to be able to get all the useful knowledge out of you for sure in no matter how many interviews we do. So I guess today what we'll start out with, and then we can do more of these if you're open to it later. Um, what like what okay what are the biggest things that someone should be paying attention to now if they're an e-commerce brand or they're an agency and they are growing fast? Like maybe they're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year now, maybe they're breaking that millions of dollars a year. What do you think the biggest trends are that they should be paying attention to and jumping on?
Yeah. So every year I do something called the State of the Merchant Report, and it's just like it sounds. It's kind of what's going on with merchants. And this year I haven't published it yet, but I've got the early results from it. We have about 400 store owners, like average revenue in the 3 million range, report on like 50 different metrics about what's going on. And so some of the big trends for this year that I've seen is in 2017, 2018, you saw Amazon growing really significantly within these merchants' business. So Amazon revenue, the sales they were making on Amazon was making up a pretty meaningful part of their business. So 2 years ago, it was 20% of the average merchant sales came from Amazon. Last year, it was like 27%. This year, that trend, that massive jump up by 33% market share jump, really flattened out. So from 27 to 28%. And looking anecdotally at other people who I've seen come off Amazon or completely or report more problems with Amazon, I think one of the biggest trends to look at is that uh, Amazon has gotten much more competitive, much more difficult to sell on, partially because just there's more people on there, but partially because Amazon is starting to sell some of their own private label brands. And I think the bottom line is that a lot of merchants, especially savvy ones, are realizing like, hey, we need to have a really good plan for not just blowing up on Amazon. Like Amazon's great, but it's kind of like the cheap, easy, fun money. But what's going to be happening in 3 years? So I'd say, just being really, you're seeing a slowdown of Amazon driving revenue for some of those brands. Amazon's still growing incredibly quickly, and so what's driving that? I think part of that is international sellers coming in, manufacturers to some degree starting to sell in. Chinese manufacturers was a point of concern this year, selling direct when it wasn't last year. I think, so those are some of the big trends. And merchants just getting really crucial that merchants own their own product. You could hack the system. Like when I got started, you could hack the system by being really good at SEO and content and lining up relationships with suppliers and having decent customer service, and you could grow. It was work, but it wasn't rocket science. And today, like, you genuinely have to have something unique, because partially there's just more people selling. But if you want to buy something and the brand, and you want to get fairly quickly at a reasonable price and not have to worry about getting ripped off, where do you go? Like, you go to Amazon, right? They've solved distribution.
Yep.
And so if you don't have something unique you can control distribution on, i.e. your brand, it's looking rough. One of the things we tracked was the number of the different types of business models year over year. And last year, drop shippers made up 16% of all the businesses that reported. Manufacturers were about at 20%. This year, drop shippers were only at 8%. So the number of drop shippers got cut in half that reported this year. And manufacturing, I think, jumped up by 33%, the number of people that were manufacturing. So I kind of rambled on for a bit there, covered a bunch of stuff, but those are some of the things I'm seeing.
Do you think the drop shippers that dropped off, do you think they just went out of business, or do you think that they got smart and switched to manufacturing?
I think it's a combination of both, and just speculating because I don't have any hard data on that. But I know anecdotally in our community, there's been a couple of people who drop shipped. At least 2 or 3 I know just off of my head that have radically revamped their business models last year. Some that are just doing other things, and some that have added like their own line of private label. So I think it's a combination of the two.
Do you think long term everybody goes out of business and it's just Amazon?
I don't think so. I do think
It's like the Amazon apocalypse.
Yeah.
How do we prevent the Amazon apocalypse?
I think so. You think about Amazon, like, what does Amazon do really well? They're a great place for, like I said, finding something that you know exactly what you want, but you want a place to be able to get it quickly at a reasonable price and without having to be worried about ripped off. A couple of things where Amazon's weak. One, I feel like their consumers' trustworthiness in their reviews. I feel like reviews in general have just gotten, like, Annie, my wife, and I went and ate at this place the other day that had amazing reviews on Yelp. It was horrible. It was horrible, right? Like, so I feel like people's like now we kind of made a rule, like, we're not going to go out to eat a new place unless we get a word of mouth recommendation. And I feel like word of mouth is going to come full circle. That's maybe another topic we can talk about. That's something people focus on more. But Amazon weaknesses are a little bit of a reduction in the trustworthiness of the reviews, a lot of a reduction in the quality of the non-name brand products they have. So if you're shopping for something that's not a trusted brand, it's harder because you can't trust the reviews as much. So I feel like where stores can still win and where Amazon is not going to win is in super niche products. Because some sites, like it really helps to have a site that's completely tailored around having an insane level of detail about that niche, helping people make purchasing decisions. Another one is unbelievable customer service. Like that can kind of tie in with that a little bit, but if you have just phenomenal customer service and raving fans about something, i.e., or you have a brand that you don't sell on Amazon, you only sell on your store, and that's the only place to get it, people have to come to you. So I don't think so, but I do think there's going to be a hollowing out where you have big companies that just sell, have 40,000 SKUs and no unique selling prop. Their days are numbered, even if they have a good line of private label products. But I still think there's room for independent merchants for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And I definitely don't want to live in a world where everything is just a product created by Amazon because they squeeze somebody out. I definitely want to live in the world. And this is like, I know Toby at Shopify talks about this a lot. I know a lot of other people do, but like the idea that e-commerce is taking these people who have created these unique products all around the world, and then instead of having the foot traffic of like their neighborhood or their city, they now have a global foot traffic. and we get to buy things that are created by people all around the world. And now that people can buy things in niches and target things in niches, if you're like a person who just loves stuff to do with cats, for example, you could probably find super unique like niche cat products for basically like you want to go find cat socks, you want to get like cat like gummy candy, you want like cat curtains, like you want little like I don't know like mouse pad, I don't, like anything you want with cats, like you could do that, like custom carved cats. And I think that that's like a really creative world, and I think that I'm really excited about that growing because it seems like it will bring a lot more uniqueness to every aspect. So hoping to do everything I can, like you, to avoid the Amazon apocalypse that Amazon is definitely trying to go for. I think like the other thing I really want to know, and like obviously like this is a big thing that we talk about on the e-commerce messenger masterclass, is real-time messaging automation inside of e-commerce. I think when we've looked at it in the past, like email is the base of e-commerce, right? Like I think a big difference between an e-commerce business that's not doing very well and one that's like really crushing it is they've done a very good job at identifying the different stages of the customer journey, and then they set up really great nudges and helpful email automations throughout that. But what we're seeing is that email engagement's going down, right? It's like it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like I don't think anyone's going to say like email is going to be gone even in like 5 years. It's like it's still huge. You should still collect emails, but engagement's going down. Whereas people are opening up their messenger inboxes on these different platforms that allow real-time messaging more and more and more. That's how you talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues. So it's important that businesses, especially in e-commerce, start interacting there. But I would be curious to know, like, what do you think about real-time automation for messages? What's interesting to you? What are you seeing? Like, what do you think people are doing wrong? Like, what do you think they should be doing? Where do you think it's going?
Yeah, I think you're dead right on email. I mean, I think about Unroll.me. I don't know if you've heard of this service, but it's something I used last week, and I probably cleaned out 70% of my subscriptions in one fell swoop, right? And it's just email's getting crowded, so it's getting less effective because people are just they have to block a lot out. So I think messaging is going to be. It's been a couple of years since it kind of made a splash onto the scene as kind of the cutting edge thing, um, where you always have a new and emerging channel to be able to reach customers with. And it's not as cutting edge as it was 24 months ago, but I still think it's super effective. The engagement rates, people see the click through rates, people see are just like 5-10x email. And I think from an e-commerce perspective, especially with even if you look at 2019 today, most of the talk, at least that I've seen with merchants in our community, has been around top of the funnel type of stuff, like prospecting, getting people to come in, marketing to them, selling to them the first time. I think there's a lot of opportunity for merchants to be able to use messaging as a customer service and retention tool for SMS and also for Messenger. I think SMS is a little trickier because, at least me personally, I'm not used to seeing marketing messages in my SMS, and I feel like if you're not really careful with how you deliver them, you can kind of create some resentment and anger towards your brand as opposed to help it.
Definitely agree.
But things like shipping notifications, being able to be able to do cart re-engagement things, all the stuff that we use email for in the shopping experience. A lot of times, I think you can use messaging, and also just having a messenger bot. I think you guys already do this with Octane to some degree when people ask general questions about shipping policies, about things like that, and you've kind of got some tech that can detect the intention and be able to reply without having to have verbatim keywords or verbatim sentences, prompt questions. I would guess in 3 to 4 years, we'll be able to have that same kind of thing, but with individual products, where you can go in for each product on your site, your Shopify store. You can go in, you can build out, the one sentence summary, the detailed summary, common questions, pictures, all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And the AI is going to be hopefully good enough, or with a decent degree of accuracy, be able to take those questions, look at that data bank, and give kind of shoot back really applicable questions to people in that chat mode. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And right now, the way Octane AI works on the customer support side is we deployed neural networks for every bot that signs up, which like sounds really fancy, but it's actually like pretty straightforward. I think people have this misconception that artificial intelligence is like this catch-all and it's amazing, it can do all these things, whereas like really artificial intelligence is only very good if you apply it to very narrow and specific things. But coincidentally, it just so happens that in e-commerce, like when we have like 1,000 brands that are using Octane AI right now, and when we look at all the messages that are getting sent to them, it's like 80% are just people trying to figure out where the heck their order is. Like, where's my order? How long is it going to take to get here? And then the other
Yeah.
questions are also super common. Like if it's an apparel company, people want to understand like how big is the medium size? Like how does sizing work? How much is shipping? And so using AI in those situations to like detect them and then answer them is actually super effective. To take it the next level farther, it's all about context. And so it's like, what stage are you at as a customer? Like, are you looking to buy something or did you already buy something? So like understanding that context is important. And then the step farther is like, are you looking to buy something? And then what product is it that you're looking to buy? So that when you ask me, like, does this come in blue? The bot can automatically use AI and be like, oh, I know you're talking about this pair of shoes and you already bought something in the past. So I'm going to cater this answer directly to you based on that information. That's where we're trying to get it. There's like so much to do here, but I think like that's what the future is, where you can have humans who are doing the more unique, complicated, super hard questions, and then you can have AI taking care of the massive amount of like simple but like super straightforward and common questions. That's kind of what we think.
Yeah, do you guys, and it's kind of a random geeky tech question, but when you guys build out some of that intention parsing in Octane, do you build out all in house, which sounds like it would be a tremendous amount of work, or are there some public? I think if I remember correctly, I think Google has like some public libraries and stuff or something where you can pass that along, and it will help with kind of some of that AI processing to get the intent out of a phrase or a sentence or something. So do you guys, how much of that do you do in house, and how much are you able to leverage existing tech for?
Yeah, so it's like half and half basically. So it's like one part is like there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Like there's these huge companies like Google and IBM and Facebook who have these machine learning libraries available. They have natural language processing libraries available, and they have huge teams that they're pouring like massive amounts of capital into building it out. So we definitely tap into that. And then the other part is basically like catering catering that AI to the use case that we're applying it to, and then building in the front end and the tools so that anybody can go use it. So like right now, if you go sign up for Octane AI, there's a section where you can train your bot. And we suggest to you like, oh, you should probably put in something for like, where's my order? Or like, I want to buy something, or like, can I talk to a human? And you can add those, but you can also, we give you the tools where you can add whatever you want. So like you can type in any phrase you want, you can type in multiple variations of that phrase, and then the neural network will be able to, moving forward, recognize phrases that are exact matches, but also phrases that are similar or that the AI recognizes as the intention was the same thing, it just was written differently. And I think like most of our stores, like they're just going to answer the basic questions. But then we have some where like we have a celebrity Poppy that uses us, and she has a huge YouTube channel. It's crazy. That's a whole nother thing. Set aside like 15 minutes to just have your mind blown about how crazy these videos are. But she has trained her bot to understand thousands of things. And so you can take it really far. And like people will go talk to her bot and they talk to it for an hour because it will respond intelligently to like almost anything you say to it. So it can get really crazy. And we're still in the very early days of this technology. Like where we're going to be a year from now, and especially like 5 or 10 years from now, is it's going to be, we're not even going to recognize ourselves right now. We're going to be like, wow, how did we even ever think that was cool?
That's crazy. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like maybe like a selfish question, but like you're very familiar with what Octane AI does and like what we're trying to achieve, and that we're working with a lot of stores, but that we're trying to grow and be a lot bigger and build a lot more stuff. Like, what do you wish that we did? Like, what do you see us doing in the next couple of years? Like, what would you be like one wish for us?
Yeah, the one wish. Uh, I kind of alluded to it. I can't remember if we were talking before we started recording, but having a unified scope for all your messaging in one place. And I know on the SMS side, you guys are building that out potentially, and that's something you guys are hoping to release soon. But even having a native chat because right now you can go and get all sorts of different chat, just web chat tools for your site. Having that natively be built in as opposed to just having the Facebook widget, but having that natively that store owners can use on the front end of their homepage that's also tied into the whole system, I think that would be awesome. So that just all of your messaging right there in one spot. You don't have to have multiple apps. I think that'd be really cool. I think the other stuff you guys are doing is awesome. So I just think maybe integrating it a little bit more holistically would be just the thing that comes to mind for me.
All right. Well, I can't reveal what we're doing or what we're not doing, but we will check back in, and we will talk about that, and we will re-catch up about it. Andrew, we're getting to the end of today's masterclass video, but before you go, what is one thing you want to leave everybody watching with? So everyone watching is an agency working in e-commerce. They are a entrepreneur, a 16-year-old sitting in their parents' house getting ready to build the next big e-commerce brand, or it's a big e-commerce brand that's already making millions or hundreds of millions of dollars a month, or not a month, maybe a year. What do you want to leave them with?
I would say I'm a marketer at heart, and I feel like this last year I've been thinking a lot more about, instead of trying to hack marketing and get in front of eyeballs and do all the stuff that us marketers tend to spend a lot of time thinking about, really getting back to basics and just building a product or an experience that people love so much that they share organically, word of mouth. Because I feel like it's, as Google and Facebook and everybody that controls so much of the web, buying clicks is getting so much more expensive. To make content organically that spreads, you can do it, but there's so much out there. But like word of mouth referrals from a friend are like the most powerful thing in the world. And when you strip it all down, that's what you're trying to do. But a lot of times I think if we spent less time trying to do stuff that was, two steps away from that and just try to work on having a killer product and take amazing care of our customers, I don't know. I have a hunch that's going to come full circle, because it's what worked 50 years ago, and before you could hack the internet and marketing and SEO and all that kind of stuff. It was the bread and butter. And I think we're going to get back to that. So that's what I'm thinking a lot more about when I think about my community and taking care of them. And I think it's probably a pretty safe bet for the next 5 years, something that won't go obsolete. So
Awesome. Well, everybody watching, you heard it from Andrew. He's got the bird's eye view of all the top performing e-commerce brands in the world. So take note and figure out how to implement that into what you're doing every single day. So Andrew, thank you so much again for taking the time to join us in the e-commerce messenger masterclass. And to everybody else watching, I just want to give you a special thanks, because we make these videos for you. We're trying to figure out what are all the tidbits and information that we can pass on, so that you can leverage them. And I hope that you found this video valuable, and that you found the other videos valuable. So viewers, members, thank you so much. Andrew, thank you again for being here. That's it. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.